Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
Welcome to the Imagine More Success radio show with Cindy and Thomas. We are really excited to be bringing you a fantastic show today. We've got a really fun guest who is a huge fan of the show. We're a huge fan of his. He's going to be on in a few minutes. Cindy, you've been having a wonderful week doing some great work. I know that you've been busy really helping out several of your clients. You've had some big breakthroughs this week as well. In your business, do you often find that your clients are really afraid of online marketing?
Well, that's one of the fears they have, besides public speaking, as you know. And then with online marketing, I think because there's so many choices and it's, almost like secretive, because there's so many different things going on and newness that people tend to really be a little fearful. And when people say they know how to do things and they don't, they get frustrated. So that's why we're bringing Robert Plank to everybody today in a few minutes, because he's the go-to guy for online marketing.
Yeah, this is a little point I'd like to make. If you think that building a business online is overwhelming, if you don't know where to start, if it seems extraordinarily confusing, or if it seems like a topic that's too gigantic to try to take on, we're definitely excited for you to listen in today. Our host, Robert Plank, actually builds businesses that he calls Robert Plank style businesses. And you've probably been led to believe that you're running your own online business requires a huge amount of time and tons of technical know-how. But really, internet marketing, WordPress blogging, online copywriting, product creation, and massive traffic going to your website is easy when you apply this correct system that Robert Plank has developed. We want to go ahead and invite you to take a listen. Robert, come on to the show. Pleasure to have you here today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Well, what I'm really excited about to share with our guests, Robert, is your free gift. And if everyone wants to stay tuned until, I think we're going to probably talk about that in the third segment, you are going to be blessed with some amazing words of wisdom from Robert Plank, our guest today. So stay tuned.
Robert, tell us, how long have you been in the business of online marketing and making money online?
Since I was a kid, I made my first information product 16 years ago, and things evolved from then. But I've pretty much been doing this most of my life, and so there you go.
It's what's really fascinating is that you've developed a system for doing everything from internet marketing, WordPress, blogging, online copywriting, product creation. You've broken all these what are seemingly overwhelming processes down to these checklists. And tell us about if someone's starting from zero, or they've got a business that's habitable. Where do you recommend they start?
If someone is starting from zero, I recommend that they start with a podcast, and I recommend that they start with something simple. So like whatever your current idea is, if it's for like an app or a book, or just to have a system and get on some stages or get in on some podcast shows, start with something simple. Start with something very doable. It's real good to have like a 10-year plan and have all these big dreams, but start somewhere where you can see some immediate results and where you can just take some action, because we all make it super duper complicated, and it can be simple if we let it be.
You have an amazing podcast called Marketer of the Day, where you actually interview some of the best internet marketers and entrepreneurs from around the world. And I remember before you actually had a 1-hour podcast that you created weekly, and now you're actually doing multiple shorter podcasts with more guests. Talk to us a little bit about why the shift.
The shift is because I ran out of ways of saying the same thing multiple times. I'm sure that you and Cindy sometimes come across that issue of, you sometimes feel like, well, I ran out of knowledge, I ran out of things to say, or sometimes I'm repeating myself, and I realized that it couldn't all come from me. I had to have other people coming on and teaching about other areas. I had to let go of my own ego a little bit. I had to realize that different people have different personalities, and maybe I might have a guest that appeals to them personality-wise better than me, or we might have fun with just the back and forth, the interplay, the conversation that comes out of things, and it's way easier to get someone on my podcast who's an expert on Instagram ads, who has spent the past 5 years of their life learning it, so that way I don't have to learn it. I can just bring someone on who has that expertise. They create content for me. They get something out of it because they are getting exposed to my audience. And then we get a nice connection happening, because then we can both promote the show, and sometimes that leads to some more of a relationship developing. And it's so dang easy, right? It's way easier, as you know, Thomas, to get someone on your show and to ask them some questions and play off that, than have to plan and research and outline. Sometimes that's just the path of least resistance.
Well, Robert, I find it really hard to believe that you would ever run out of content, because I know you have a ton of books. I know you have a ton of courses, and I'm sure you could probably talk for decades about what you have.
Maybe, but I don't know. Sometimes it's better to get those other perspectives.
Absolutely. It is great.
That's
And that's what we love too. We love bringing people on that are expert in their field. They have tons of information to share, and because they've been at it for so long, they've got these really valuable and unique insights. And actually, I had an awesome opportunity. Cindy and I had a podcast prior to being on this radio show. And I'd say, well, the moment that we interviewed you on that podcast, we actually bought Podcast Crusher and used that, which is your online course on creating podcasts. We actually used that to change up several things on our podcast, which did help streamline the process and make it easier, and reinforce some of the things that we were doing and help us find some new directions. So we wanted to give you a shout out for that. It was a really great way to learn the ins and outs of podcasting in a very straightforward and direct way.
Well, and we were actually recruited to go on to a terrestrial radio show with international reach.
Because of that. Yeah. So we're firm believers in what you're talking about getting started like that. Robert, you actually have what you call the 3 pillars of getting started on the internet when it comes to making money online. Talk to us a little bit about the 3 pillars and why they're important.
Well, the 3 pillars are list, traffic, and offers. You need to have somewhat of an email list, a Facebook following. You need to have your people. And then you need to have new ways of getting people, which might mean running ads, which might mean being on other podcasts, being on terrestrial radio, right? It is fun for you to do, but you're doing it for a purpose, which is to get more listeners. And then you need to have offers, which means that you sell courses, that you have books you sell, that you have podcasts. And I don't know if you've have experienced this, but it's like the more you do things, the easier that they get. And sometimes at first things were hard. Anything from tying your shoes were hard at first, driving a car was hard at first, but it gets to the point where it just becomes more and more automatic, and you rely on that step-by-step repeatable system, that template that your brain has figured out. So it is, like you said earlier, it is easy to get overwhelmed with, well, I need to figure out these ways of making content, or I need to, make my YouTube videos or my podcast, or look up all these ways of getting traffic. And recently, within these last few months, I had somewhat of an aha, and I thought back to all the podcast episodes and the books and the courses and things like that. And I was able to distill all of this down into kind of one single formula. So does that sound like something that you want to hear more about?
Of course, we'd love to. Yeah, talk to us about that.
So anything that you do can come down to this formula called why, what, how to, what if. And I have a book out that's called WWHW that teaches this system. But when I create a podcast episode, or when you create a podcast episode, for example, it's really easy to get stuck in academia, right? It's really easy to say, I'm going to give someone a list of like 7 tips or 7 steps in something. And it's good to have that, but sometimes it's easy to lose people, or sometimes it's just kind of too overwhelming, or sometimes people aren't quite ready to hear a message like that. And so we've all heard, or maybe we've heard about this thing of like have a problem and have a solution, right? So people say, well, don't just tell me 7 steps about getting on terrestrial radio. Maybe tell me what I've done up until this point, or maybe tell me why I should even consider getting on terrestrial radio as opposed to some of these other alternatives. And so that's where the why comes into play. So it's easy for someone to say, let me teach you about terrestrial radio, or let me teach you about podcasting. Well, hang on, back it up a little bit. Tell me why I should even be podcasting in the first place. Tell me about what I could be doing instead of podcasting, and set up the problem that led me to podcasting, which might mean that I have an app that people need to know about, or I'm a coach and people don't know anything about me. So you need to create those podcast episodes. So we say, well, why should I have a podcast? But instead of just jumping into, well, here's some things that you should be doing to have your podcast, assume I know nothing about podcasting and tell me some of the things that I need to know about, well, what is podcasting in particular? Maybe I've heard of it, but what does that involve exactly? And maybe what platform do I use, or what kind of equipment do I use? And then you jump into this how-to step-by-step of how to take action, or what things to do, what things to record, what things to set up. And then at the end, then you say, now that I've taught you all those steps, then here's the missing piece, or like the next step into whatever the next thing is. And that all ends up being, why is this thing important? What are you about to show me? How do I do these steps? And then what if I do this? What's the next step? And that's
back
to everything.
When we come back in the next segment, we're going to continue this conversation with Robert Plank on the Imagine More Success radio show.
It's hard to listen to the news without realizing we're living in volatile, unprecedented times. Yet never has there been such an opportunity to transform the human condition. As old structures fail, where can we find the guidance to co-create a better way? Find Your Path Home is an ever-evolving, leading-edge information, education, and healing resource center designed to support and guide you on your path to unity and enlightenment. Based on sound principles employed by shamans worldwide, we provide techniques that can support you through the current transitions, offering online shamanic classes, international long-distance shamanic healing sessions, complimentary Mission Evolution radio episodes and Stairway to Heaven TV vignettes, seminars, retreats, and much more. All of this can be found on findyourpathhome.com.
So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she'd come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me. simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
Path Home Shamanic Art School proudly presents the Gathering of Shaman 2019 Fall Retreat, Manifestation Samhain. Join me, certified shamanic instructor Gwilda Wiyaka, in the magnificent Colorado Mountains this November 2nd and 3rd for a life-changing event. Participate in unique teachings and ceremonies that'll put the power and magic of shamanic manifestation into your hands. Sit in circle with like-minded individuals, sharing group energy and the power it generates. Classes will be held in a facility next to the beautiful, majestic Arkansas River, further empowering the experience. Space is limited, so reserve your spot today. For more information, visit findyourpathhome.com or email touchin@findyourpathhome.com.
You're back on the Imagine More Success radio show with Cindy and Thomas. When we were in the previous segment, we were talking with Robert Plank, and you may have this idea that online marketing and having an online business is a super complicated process and something that seems overwhelming. And in fact, in some ways it is, but with some really fantastic advice from someone who has a tremendous amount of experience, both from a technical side of the business as well as a creative and marketing side of the business, and someone who's willing to share their insights and knowledge with you in a systematic template and checklist-based format, you can really have a very short path to making money on the internet. We want to welcome back Robert Plank from robertplank.com. Robert, in the previous segment, you're talking about your recent book, which is the WWHW. And when you came up with this why, what, how to, what if concept, it must have hit you like a ton of bricks, right? Are you talking about using that in every single part of your business?
Yes. It makes things so much easier. If you are making a podcast episode, whether you're a guest or whether you're a host, it makes sense to follow this path. If you have always wanted to write a book, well, then you sit down to write one chapter of that book and you go from this why to the what to the how to the what if, you get a book chapter done. When it comes time to sell some kind of e-learning video course, same deal. You have these different modules that break down how to do some kind of a task. And when it comes time to record that video, make that audio, write that book, whatever it is, if you conform to this formula, then now everything will make sense. And you won't just be info dumping, and you also will get straight to the point. So it is magical like that.
Well, let's take a jump back then. And in this particular radio show, let's actually talk about the why. Why would someone want to actually have an online business? And what are the advantages of having it over, say, a regular job that you could have?
Someone would want to have an online business because it allows you to embark on your own adventure, set your own hours, work anywhere that you want, and do those things that you want to do, because life is limited, life is short, and it's really easy for us all to get stuck in a job or stuck in a career or get guilted into maybe going down this path that we don't necessarily want to take. And we all have those hobbies that might grow into something else, or we might have when we were younger, have those hopes and dreams of just doing something different, and maybe creating a platform or creating an app, or embracing the speaking gigs. And so having this online business, it's the way for you to get freedom. It's the way for you to have more options, more choices, because some people who are maybe later on in the years in their retirement age, maybe you want something to do. Maybe you want something that keeps generating money even after the career has gone to the wayside. Or maybe you need some extra money in the form of a side hustle to pay some of these extra bills. And this is basically the way that the whole world is going, right? The old way of doing things was to work a 9-to-5 job, work till you're 65, and then maybe drop dead 10 years later. But nowadays, people are living to 100 years old plus. And then sometimes you hear about maybe the millennials or the Gen Zs, where they might want to travel the world, right? A lot of, especially the young kids these days, they just want to make $2,000 a month or so, and then just be able to live in different Airbnbs. And it's all possible now because you don't have to be in one physical location. The phones are smart enough or fast enough where you can do whatever from anywhere. And so it's just, do you want to embrace the old way or the new way, or you can even have a mix of both. So that's why having an internet business is so important, because you can now have that freedom.
Well, Robert, we've already shared with our listeners that you are a rock star when it comes to marketing, particularly the online business arena. But, the internet is filled with all these people doing marketing trainings and master classes and selling courses on how to sell courses and such. So I know you have a few, and I thought maybe you could take a minute and talk about your view on the best way to market a course, and maybe what types of trainings that you have available for people.
Sure. Well, I think that the best way to market a course is to make something that you genuinely believe in. And the best source of material for you to create a course is, think about a life skill that you have acquired at some point that you think others could get some kind of value of. So a really easy example is, let's say you're an accountant and there are specific things that you know about starting a business or getting financing or minimizing your taxes or things like that. There's such an overload of all this information chaos out there that you probably have knowledge that is maybe common sense to you, but not common sense to a lot of other people. And you can take your knowledge and package it in such a way that it's a checklist, that it's a step-by-step system, where if someone is completely lost, confused about where to go, then they can just plug into what it is that you do. And this thing might evolve over time. And so when I was a youngster, I was a computer programmer. And my starting point there was to teach other people how to program on the computer. And that was a good thing that lasted me for a few years, but I got bored of that. And then I began writing software for other people to build their websites. So sometimes you might start off with this something that you learned in a previous career, and then that's the course that you make. And then when you get new buyers, once you build a list and you have repeat customers, then eventually they can tell you what the next big thing is for you to make to solve their problems. And so if you keep on having that mindset of, what problem am I solving and who am I going after who needs this problem, that's where the bulk of your marketing is. And then it's just a matter of figuring out where those people hang out and who can you network with, and how can you properly position and offer, so that you say, well, you have this problem and I'm giving you my solution, whether it's you need to figure out your taxes or plan for retirement or program an app or something like that. And so the rest of it is just kind of finer details, but you need to figure out what is an in-demand skill that's easy for you and hard for others, that is not adequately solved, or that you can solve better in your unique way, and then find people who have that problem and are in need of that solution.
Wow, that is so eloquently said, Robert. But what I heard continuously, and I think a lot of people don't realize this, is to build a list.
Yes.
Robert, there's a book that you have called Four Daily Tasks. Well, I don't know, and it is something I think is a kind of a cornerstone of some of the work that you share online to help you kind of manage your time. And as I think you put it, as you call it, getting your life back. I'd love for you to take a few minutes and talk to us about how how your journey as becoming an internet marketer almost forced you to create a system like this.
The thing that forced me to create a system like this was limited time. And at the time, I thought that I was unique and special, and that I was going to college. Plus, I was working a 9 to 5 day job. Plus, I was building this internet thing. But I wasn't unique. We all have things getting in the way. Maybe you have multiple jobs, or you have kids, or there's always things eating up our time. And we all need to be honest with ourselves. And the idea behind 4 Daily Tasks is that we all think that we can get by with a to-do list. We all think that we do 100 plus things per day, but really we only do 4 things per day. And those 4 things can be grouped or chunked into boxes. And the way that I like to plan my day is basically based around appointments. And I realized that I really only do 4 things every day. And we all think that we do more, but we're kidding ourselves. And maybe we're getting things half done, or maybe we're getting lots of little unimportant things done. And my day is based around doing 4 things every day. One thing is 10 to 15 minutes. That is a quick win. And then the remaining 3 tasks are 40-minute or so tasks. Because if we sit down at the computer or sit down at the desk for 2+ hours, we're kidding ourselves thinking that we're productive all those 2 hours. And then conversely, if you sit down for just 5 or 10 minutes, you're not really getting any traction. So just figure out what are the 4 most important things for you to do today. Make one of those things a quick win, something that takes you 10 minutes or so, and then do 3 other things that you can fully complete, that you can show to someone that was done, that are just 3 40-minute tasks. So 4 daily tasks, meaning 10 minutes, 40 minutes, 40 minutes, 40 minutes, if that makes sense.
Totally. Completely. I mean, I think that's a great way to figure out how to focus on what's really important, because like you said, there's a limited amount of time each and every day, and finding those ways of honing in on what's going to make the biggest jump in your business is really, really important.
I agree.
Robert, you have some really interesting products that I want to talk about in the next segment, as well as your giveaway, which is actually a really wonderful giveaway that I remember the first time that I saw it. It may have been a different year, but the advice was super poignant and really wonderful. When we come back in the next segment, Robert, we're going to take some time to talk about some of your very much checklists and step-by-step products that help people to get their start on the internet, or even clean up their act a little bit if they don't know what they're doing, or if they find themselves wanting to go down a different path. I want to invite you also to check out the Imagine More Success website, imaginemoresuccess.net, if you want to find previous episodes where you can find information as well as some great entertainment from incredible guests who span the topic subjects from anywhere from internet marketing to health to making more money, and to help you get to where you want to be in your business and in your life. So do stick around. When we come back, we'll be with Robert Plank again on the Imagine More Success radio show.
Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomena, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
Welcome back to the Imagine More Success radio show with Cindy and Thomas. We have been having a really wonderful day today, spending time with Robert Plank, who is an online business expert and marketing guru. He has a great podcast called Marketer of the Day, where you can learn from some of the top internet marketers and entrepreneurs from around the world. It's got a great set of resources as well as awesome courses that are designed in systems of checklists and systems. And Robert, I wanted to invite you to talk about how to set up your internet presence with actually a course of yours that, again, is something that I've purchased, which is very incredible, called Income Machine. Take a moment and kind of walk us through this very much how-to course on getting started on the internet.
Sure. Well, the problem with, like we keep touching on this a few times in this conversation, the problem with the internet is that there's just so many things that you could do, and there's not enough time to do all those things. And it's really tempting to get taken up by the latest and greatest social network, right? Like, let me set up my Snapchat, let me set up my TikTok, and then sometimes that's a recipe for spending all day long not getting a lot done. And because of that, we have our course that we've had for over 10 years now and updated it, called Income Machine, which has you set up your online presence, your funnel, so that all the silly things, which are silly, but they add up to a lot. All those things that you do, like posting on Instagram and TikTok, now they actually lead somewhere. You can actually take people to a website that is yours that makes you money. And the idea behind Income Machine is that you need to set up a web page. You need to set up what's called an opt-in page. Cindy mentioned before that there was a trend of mentioning building the list. So you need to have a web page where you're giving away some kind of freebie gift, and someone enters in their name and email address in exchange for that free gift. And that's, any serious business has a list of email subscribers. That way, if you have a new YouTube video, you have a new blog post, you have something for sale, you want to recommend someone else's course for sale with your affiliate link, you type a message, you send it to your email list. And anyone on the list can drop out, but you need to be building an email list. So in Income Machine, we teach you how to create that web page, create that form where someone can get on your email list. We tell you how to create an email sequence. That way it nurtures people, it follows up with them, and it gets whatever your offer or the thing that you want to recommend or sell positioned in front of them. Income Machine shows you how to create a blog. That way you can post some of your content for free and give people an idea of who you are. We show you how to create an online course, how to create a web page that sells it, and then all of this setting up of the website is all leading to traffic, because the problem is that a lot of people focus on just traffic, just the social media stuff, which is great. But if you don't have any place to send that social media traffic to, then what's the point? So with Income Machine, we get you to decide on your niche, to set up your website, to create your opt-in page, autoresponder, blog, sales letter, payment button, membership site, and traffic. That way you have a machine that works for you, and that way you have a real online business and you're not just playing around.
Yeah, it's really kind of a business in a computer box, really, and very much step by step. That's the thing that really appealed to me in the very beginning, and is what I see that runs through all of your work. For the person who maybe doesn't have a tremendous amount of expertise in dealing with computers or working with computers and all the different software that's available and is extraordinarily useful, it's a really great way to get a start and to quickly build confidence. And like you said, the more you do something, the better you get at it, the more confident you are, the more you're able to do it over and over again. And scaling and repeating like that's where you really start to make money.
So, Robert, of all the things that you teach and that you've worked on over the years, in your opinion, what do you think most people struggle with and why?
I think that most people struggle with setting the right goals and with action taking on their goals, because it's easy to not know yourself. I mean, think about when you were in your 20s and you can go 2 days without sleep without thinking about it. But then in your older years, you say, oh, maybe I should have that extra cup of coffee, or maybe if I want to be in bed by 9, maybe I shouldn't have that cup of coffee. And I think that a lot of people, they don't know themselves, and as a result, they set themselves up for failure. They make things too confusing or too complicated, or they just take a lot of beginning actions and not a lot of ending actions, and not really realizing that they're just setting themselves up for failure. And this show that we're on is called the Imagine More Success podcast, and I like how it begins with imagine. I think that a lot of people they don't use their imagination for their benefit. They don't think enough about what the big picture is going to be and what they're working towards and what they're building. And I think that a really easy solution for that, and I mentioned this in my WWHW book, is there's this thing out there called having SMART goals. And what that means is that if there's a thing that you know that you need to and you should to do and you're about to do, your goal should be SMART, and the acronym is SMART, and that's specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time-bound. And that just means that if there's a thing that you want to do, make sure that it's clearly defined, it's not nebulous, it's specific. It's measurable. You know that you can do it and go back and check and know that it was completely done and not 80% done, completely done. That's measurable. Make sure that's something that it's actionable, so it's something that you can begin today and make those baby steps and do something simple. Make sure it's relevant. That way this action isn't just some side project. It connects to the other things you want to do in your business. And most importantly, make sure that it is time-bound. That way you have a real deadline on it. That way you say, I'm going to set up the web page by next Monday, or I'm going to create the opt-in form by next Wednesday. It's not just some vague thing. So I think that the thing that would help anyone the most in any, whatever they're doing, any niche, any part of the world, is having these SMART, SMART goals. And so that way you're not just spinning your wheels.
Well, I think it's fascinating that in your business that's pretty technical, that you have identified the same biggest struggle with your people as I have in mine, because, it's really hard for people to see the forest for the trees when they're in their own business and trying to figure out what goals should move them forward or even get started. So it's fascinating that it's the same.
Right. And they need to go for it. Right, Cindy?
Exactly.
I love it.
Exactly. And so you're the man that can get them some traction, though. And that is really what it's all about, because you can have the best product, the best course, and if nobody knows about it, then it's going to be missed by so many people that really need the course.
I agree completely. And that's why people need to find some way to get out of their comfort zone, to break out of their shell, in the same way that all of us are talking here on your program today. When you do create the book or the course, don't forget to get out there, right? Don't just make a website or make a course and expect everyone to find it on their own. You have to yourself be a marketer, and you have to network and make those connections. And I mean, I just passed 700 episodes recorded on my podcast, and there are people who all day long, they just appear on other people's podcasts, knowing that every little bit helps, knowing that if they just put aside the time and effort to be on a handful of podcasts per week, then that adds up to a heck of a lot over time. And so it's so important, especially these days when it seems easier to stay introverted, right? Where you can push a button on your phone and a taxi rolls up. The technology itself won't save you, right? You need both sides of the coin. The technology, sure, it makes it easier and you can do things faster, but you still need to remember those fundamentals. You still need to set goals. You still need to get comfortable being uncomfortable, and all those other cliched rah-rah things that we hear, but they're so true, and they're more important now than ever to just be a person that gets out there and spread your message and build a list, sell some products, get some traffic.
And to get some phenomenal content, because that's really what the buzz will be about, right?
Yes, and the building of the content, that WWHW formula still applies, and just like anything else, you build the muscle, it gets easier. And whether we're talking about content like creating a video course or an audio podcast or a written book, it is awkward at first, but the more you do it, the better you get at it, the easier it is for you, the faster it is. So it was awkward for everyone at first, but the way to get past it is through it. So you need to take some action, and don't let the rest of your life play out by, and start on it today. If there's something quick and simple that you've been wanting to do, if you've been wanting to start this online business, or you've been wanting to write that LinkedIn article, figure out some kind of quick win or quick action you can get to today or this week, because the time is not going to find itself for you.
Well, I love that quote from Martin Luther King. That is, everything begins with the first step. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but very important quote that really defines what you just mentioned.
Right. I agree completely.
Robert, we're going to come back in just a moment. When we come back, actually, we'll want to talk a little bit more about your book, Why, What, How To, What If, WWHW. And we also want to hit on a few other topics with you, including your free giveaway in the next segment. So when we return, we're going to hear more from Robert Plank about how you can build a Robert Plank-style business, which will help you to create a very profitable online business for you that will help you to have a life which will be something you'd really love to do, give you the opportunity to focus on what's important to you and do something you love. So do stick around to the Imagine More Success radio show.
If you are looking for a safe, zero-calorie natural option to the harmful artificial sweeteners on the market today, Just Like Sugar is what you're looking for. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great, pure, sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be useful in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend of chicory root fiber, natural calcium, natural vitamin C, and Just Like Sugar's sweetness comes from the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, Henry's, Sun Harvest, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide. They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by Ellie Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, the 70-year cover-up exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now and receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world, interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Memorable dynamic presentations are a not-so-secret weapon in the business world. Do you have a powerful message that must be shared, but you haven't found a way to deliver that message? Do you want to be known as a top public speaker who gets amazing results? Are you ready to create and deliver your powerful message? Thomas Hides can help you create and deliver your speech to get the results you desire. Visit iconquality.com.
Did you expect your business to flourish, but instead it plateaued or didn't get off the ground yet? Would you like to achieve massive goals and discover new sources of income within your business? When you're ready to experience that type of success with fast results, Cindy Hendricks is the business coach for you. Her work with entrepreneurs and business owners has been life-changing. To get you and your business where you want to be, go to imaginemoresuccess.com.
Has the fear of public speaking stalled your business or personal life? What would you give to develop and maintain supreme confidence? Have an invaluable private program to always perform at your best. Imagine how you would feel. You can have all that and so much more today with Thomas Hides' life-changing course called Number One Fear Unleashed. Visit numberonefear.com and be liberated from your fear of public speaking.
Welcome back to the Imagine More Success radio show with Cindy and Thomas. We've been talking to Robert Plank today, who is an online advertising and web page creator and business expert. We've been having a fantastic interview today. Really great information. I'm actually someone who uses quite a few of his products, love all of his content. He's done amazing work. Very, very helpful for me in starting my business. And for you, if you're sitting there today and you're thinking to yourself, man, I would love to have an online business. I would love to be able to make money doing something that I love, but I don't know where to start. You definitely would benefit very, very much by going to robertplank.com. And it's funny because in our previous segments, we've been learning that the problems that people are facing when it comes to creating their online business are the same problems that people face when they're trying to do just about anything. And it's really about knowing themselves. And if you'd like to take a moment and learn more about yourself and how you can find your inner wealth, you want to go to findhiddenmoney.com to get our free gift for you, and also check out past episodes of our show, Imagine More Success, at imaginemoresuccess.net. Robert, in our previous segments, we've been talking about your book, WWHW. I want to know what the what if, the last W, is in your book.
The what if, well, it depends on the context, and it also depends on what direction you want to go with things. So what if basically means now that I have taken this step or I've learned this information, now what if I do this? What is the next thing in the journey? And so what I like to do many times is say if I'm applying this in a book I'm writing, and each part of the book explains something, how to get some kind of a task done. So let's say that you had a book on how to rent out real estate properties, right? And there would be a lot of different steps to that. And maybe one of the chapters could be to finally like buy a rental property. And then, well, what if in that chapter I buy the rental property? What's the next step? Well, then you could have a little bit of a transition near the end there and say, now that you have that rental property, what if maybe the next chapter in your hypothetical real estate book is renovating a property? And then you go through all that. And then the what if at the end of that chapter might be then renting it out to buyers. So what if in one context could be the transition from the thing you just taught into whatever the next chapter in your book is. But if you were putting out a podcast episode and you said, well, we're going to do this podcast and we're going to explain to you about how to buy and rent out rental properties, and you gave away some information, then you would say, well, now the next step for you to take is to go to my website and to opt in for this free gift, similarly to how when we came back from the break, you plugged your website. So it's always good to teach someone something for free and then say, if this made sense, if you got something useful out of it, now here's the place to go to take the next step. And then the what if, it might also apply in the form of what we could call a checklist or we could call a challenge. So the next time that you are writing some of that blog content, the next time you put out a blog post and you give someone some advice or some steps that they could take, maybe at the end give them a really quick checklist of just a handful of things, even 4 or 5 things that they could do now that they've learned this information. And then in our courses, we apply this what if concept in the form of what's called a challenge. So for example, if we had a course and one of the modules explains how to put a video on YouTube, then we would ask a few questions that if someone answered those questions, they would already be on their way to getting that video on YouTube. So maybe we'd walk them through all these different things and say, it's great that we dumped a lot of information on you, but now that YouTube video that you've wanted to make, what is the name of that YouTube video? How long will the YouTube video be? What time and date will you have that YouTube video online? And so what if can take a lot of different forms here. It can take the form of transitioning to the next thing, directing people to the place to go to take more action, like go to a web page, or it could even be something fun like a checklist or a challenge.
Very cool. That totally makes sense. You know, I love the way that you give this advice through systems and checklists, because that's the one thing that seems to be missing quite often when you're first trying to do something you've never done before. Obviously, if you've done something 8,000 times, it's very easy to sit down and create a checklist, but it's that first time, those first few times, and missing something important, whether it's a concept or an actual actionable item, can just be devastating when it comes time to get something like this done. So there's tremendous value in that.
Yeah, I agree. And we all need to remember to stretch our brain a little bit and remember that out of these 4 sections, the why, the what, the how to, and the what if, we probably gravitate towards one of those 4 things, but not everyone does. So if we only had the how to steps, we'd lose some people. If we only had that what if checklist at the end, we'd lose some people because there's no context. So some people won't take any action unless they know about the problem that is being solved. Some people won't even begin to take any action unless you cover that what section and explain what are the concepts, what are the principles that we're about to show them. So we need to remember all 4 of these steps: why, what, how to, what if, and in that order, so that way it makes sense for the maximum number of people and it just logically flows that way.
That's really cool. I know that a lot of topics, really, once you've spent a lot of time with them, while they seem extraordinarily complex, they have a tendency to funnel into some very simple concepts. you know, that after you've spent many years doing something that you can distill them into. And I think that's one of these times where the WWHW really makes sense, and it sums up so many things that you do in online marketing as well as online business.
Well, before we get into Robert's gift, which I'm so excited to be able to share with our listeners today, I would love it, Robert, if you would please give us your take on which of the social media platforms do you think is best to find entrepreneurs?
If podcasting counts as social media, then I would say that. And if it doesn't count, then I would say Facebook. And what I mean by that is it's more about the people than the stuff and the things. And so I think that any social media platform will work, but I like podcasting and I like Facebook the best, because this way we're not just relying on some sort of traffic fad that might come and go. I mean, as both of you know, podcasting is steadily growing. It's growing more and more. And what that means for all of us is if you have the need to have a podcast show, you can literally make it about anything and then invite any kind of guest that you want. And you don't have to pigeonhole yourself into one single niche. And you can have people all day long coming on a show such as this one and sharing their expertise. And then on the other flip side of that coin, you yourself with some kind of expertise or a message or something to sell, you can appear on other people's podcasts all day long, especially if they're not part of your inner circle. And this way you're making a new connection, and this way you're reaching a much wider audience. And then what's also a lot of fun about social media is you can go back and tag people whose shows you've been on or who have been on your show. And you can there are all these Facebook groups where you can find new podcast guests. I've had guests on my podcast post the link to our show and then run some ads on it. And so everyone's on Facebook all day, every day, all day long. And it's an easy way to get some consistent results as long as you remember the individual people and you don't get stuck in that trap of trying to talk to the masses and then wondering why your Facebook group isn't responsive or why your Facebook page isn't getting the amount of followings. Facebook allows you to look up pretty much anyone you want and message them one-on-one and get them as guests on your show or be on their show. So my answer is podcasting plus Facebook.
Well, there you have it. The best info for social media from the marketing expert, Robert Plank.
Robert, thank you so much for joining us today. It was such a pleasure to have you on the show. We really appreciate you coming in. And again, we want to encourage everyone who has an interest in starting their online business or increasing their revenue, check out your website, robertplank.com. Some really fantastic advice and courses there to help you get to the next level.
We're doing
of course,
the free gift
the
too,
gift
right?
too, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
don't forget that.
Absolutely.
I already signed up for it.
Tell us about your free gift.
Well, I'm not sure if I'm plugging the right one that Cindy signed up for, but a place to find out about this WWHW concept is www.hwbook.com, and then the free gift specifically is at www.hwbook.com/gift. And when you sign up there, I share a video on how to publish a book from start to finish, how to create a podcast, because some of the things that used to be super duper long and complicated are now very easy. And so, for example, you can watch one video at www.hwbook.com/gift, and I walk you through all the steps of getting a book published. And now all you have to do is write the book, and this WWHW formula will help you do that. So www.hwbook.com/gift, and there's a couple of videos there on how to get started doing some of these things that we've been talking about today, which a lot of people are afraid of.
And if you'd like to get a chance to listen to some past episodes of our show, go to imaginemoresuccess.net, where you can hear previous episodes with other experts in their fields as well. And if you'd like to learn more about how you can make more money in your business, go to findhiddenmoney.com. We want to remind you that you have a tremendous opportunity in your life to realize your dreams and to imagine more success.